You know how some stories start out like a fairy tale? Well, this one does too, but it takes a turn into a real life nightmare. Today, we're diving into this absolutely chilling true story of a haunting in Indiana. But here's the thing, it's not just a ghost story. It's also about what happens when something truly unexplainable crashes into your life and then gets twisted by Hollywood.
That's the voice of Jennifer Patterson, and yeah, she just said she was shoved down the stairs. That is intense. But the story doesn't actually start there, with that violent push. No, like so many of these chilling tales, it all begins with a dream. All right, so let's set the scene. It's 2008. We've got 24-year-old Jennifer Patterson, and she's on the hunt for her very own place. Her biggest dream? To finally have her horses at home with her instead of paying to board them somewhere else. And then she finds it, what seems like the absolute perfect spot.
I mean, look at this checklist. The place was a dream come true. It had 5 whole acres for her horses, a barn ready to go, even a stocked pond out back. And the house itself, super charming. Cute little porch, exposed wooden beams, you get the picture. It was this classic country home, and she just fell head over heels for it right then and there. Okay, but here's the first little red flag. When Jennifer bought the house, all she was told was that the seller's elderly parents had passed away. Pretty standard stuff, right? Well, it wasn't until after she moved in that a coworker who actually knew the family filled her in on the darker details. The wife, she had passed away in what was about to become Jennifer's bedroom, and her husband, completely heartbroken, died right there in the home just a year later. Suddenly, the story has a much heavier vibe. So, the strange stuff? It started almost right away. I mean, before she even had all her boxes unpacked. At first, it was the kind of thing you could brush off, find a logical reason for. But those little oddities, they started piling up, and they got a lot harder to just ignore. And I mean, it escalated fast. First, a friend swears they see a figure walk across a hall in the empty house. Then, Jennifer starts noticing this really strong, unmistakable smell of Old Spice aftershave, and it follows her from room to room. Then come the voices, like conversations happening in another room, and this old kind of twangy country music playing from nowhere. The whole thing comes to a head at her housewarming party. A guest, who it turns out was a psychic, pulls her aside and gives her this bone-chilling warning. They're not alive, and they don't want you to be here. Whoa. So up until now, it's been sounds, smells, but this was the first time something got physical. Picture this. Jennifer's just chillin', watching TV. The attic door, which she knows for a fact was latched securely, doesn't just swing open. It slams open, violently. Her dogs, who were dead asleep, just shoot up, all their hair standing on end, and they start barking like crazy at this empty, dark opening. You know they say animals can sense things? Well, their pure terror was undeniable, and it absolutely terrified her. And the aggression just ramped up from there. She's in the basement one day, cleaning up after it flooded, and she hears a whisper, "Get out." She tries to just shake it off, keep working, but then it comes again, only this time it's louder, angrier. "Get out." That's when she bolts. As she's scrambling up the stairs, she feels it. What she swears felt like fingers wrapping around her leg. Okay, this has officially crossed the line. This isn't just a weird presence anymore. It feels dangerous. So, time goes on, and Jennifer gets into a relationship with a coworker, Sean Williams. Eventually, he moves in with her. And Sean brings a whole new energy to the situation. A very, very skeptical energy. Yeah, I mean, Sean himself says it best. He's a guy of science. He wants to understand things, find the logical explanation. So he's listening to Jennifer's stories, and he's probably thinking, okay, old house, drafts, faulty wiring. He was looking for the rational answer for everything. But as you can probably guess, this house had other plans for him. It didn't take long for his scientific explanations to start falling apart. First, there's this insane infestation of flies, but only in the kids' room, and get this, it's the middle of winter. Then an inflatable mattress literally flies 3 feet across the hallway and smacks the opposite wall. Jennifer sees a shadow figure so dark she describes it as blacker than the black in the room. Next, their bedroom door, which they know they locked, the knob just turns, pops, and the door swings open by itself. And then the final straw, a huge bang in the middle of the night like someone kicked the front door in. Sean grabs his gun, does a full sweep of the house, the yard, everything, and he finds nothing. No broken door, no footprints, no intruder, no explanation.
You know, as terrifying as all that stuff was for them, the real breaking point, the moment they realized this was something they just could not live with, was when the activity started centering on their kids.
Yeah, this is the moment that changes everything. They walk in and see their 3-year-old son reading a picture book. But what he's doing is he's pointing to a picture, saying what it is, and then turning the book to show it to someone invisible right next to him. When you put that together with everything else that's been happening, it's not cute, it's horrifying. The thing in their house was now interacting with their child. And for them, that was it. Game over. That was a line they were absolutely not going to let be crossed.
So what do? They did the logical thing. They called for help. They got in touch with a local paranormal team, the Fort Wayne Shadow Chasers. The team comes in and does 2 separate overnight investigations. And the evidence they get, these EVPs or electronic voice phenomena, is so ridiculously clear that the investigators actually thought Sean and Jennifer were pranking them at first. They caught a man's sneeze when only women were in the room, a clear voice saying "don't go" as Jennifer was leaving. A second investigation convinced them it was legit. They tried a cleansing with sage, but it did nothing. The investigators finally had to tell them, look, whatever is here, we can't get it to leave. So you have a choice. Stay and coexist with something that has already gotten violent, or get out. They chose to get out.
And here's a wild little postscript to the story. After the family moved out, Jennifer's parents, who were also major skeptics, came in to help with some renovations on the now empty house. Well, guess what? They started having their own experiences. A fly swatter just falls off its hook and lands at the bottom of the basement stairs. They hear the garage door open and someone walking around upstairs when they know for a fact they're the only ones there. A basement door they distinctly remember shutting is found wide open the next day. Yeah, they stopped being skeptics pretty quick. So you'd think that's the end of the story, right? They escape the house. But years later, their story gets a second life. A TV show, A Haunting, contacts them, wanting to feature their experience. They agree. But the absolute terror they actually lived through, that's not quite what made it to the screen. The show just took their reality and twisted it for dramatic effect. That terrifying, formless shadow Jennifer saw, the show turned it into a monster with a face that Sean literally described as looking like cornflakes with black paint. Remember the dogs going crazy at the attic door, a key moment? Totally cut. They even invented a whole scene where Sean goes down to the basement and confronts the ghost. Never happened. And maybe worst of all, they took Jennifer's interview, chopped it up, and edited it to make her sound like she didn't care at all about who might move into the house next. And look, this isn't just about them being picky about the details. It's about their credibility. Sean puts it perfectly. When you start throwing in made-up stuff just to make a story scarier, you're not just discrediting their story, you're discrediting the whole idea that these things can actually happen. You're basically feeding the trolls and skeptics who say none of it is real. Which really brings us to the big question here, doesn't it? This family went through something undeniably real and terrifying, but when that terror gets scooped up, packaged for TV, edited for maximum drama, and then sold to us as entertainment, what gets lost in translation? What really is the price of a good scare?